Chapter 8. I see. You're insane. When the chemicals in your mind are that of a child, it's very easy to get caught up in an emotion. That said, after the initial rush of soul-crushing terror, it comfortably rested on mild panic rather than outright terror. So I think I'm alright. My mind still runs away on me, though. Knowing I have a phylactery ready is a huge relief, so the real challenge is not doing something stupid. Oh, and the cinnamon rolls helped too. Also, choking on my pride was a great distraction. I can't believe Luna was comforting. Still, I was finally alone and had some breathing room. Luna was hatching a feeler because now the spell was dropped, the magic wouldn't slide off my eye sockets or broken horn. It had taken way too much to convince her to leave me alone for a bit. Still, the meditation helped. There's scrabbling outside in the hall and my eyes open. I raise an eyebrow. There's about 5 of them. Okay then. I thought Luna was fetching a healer, not a swarm of them. I muse out loud, and there's a cough. Most of us are here for observation and in case something goes wrong. One of the doctors/nurses tells me, and I'd roll my eyes if I had them. And with so many in such a small room, you're going to be bumping into each other, I note wryly. We're used to working in close quarters to each other. There's nothing to worry about, another one says, and I huff a slight amount of nervousness. I can't see. For all I know, one of you is carrying an axe, I remark acidly, and there's some shuffling. Oh no. Alright, there's no window, one exit, and it's packed. I remember the contents of the room and the plan forms. I hear one take a step and I jump into action. My torn wings won't let me fly, but they make jumping easy as I soar over the chair and throw it towards the group. At the started exclamation, I jump onto the top of the bookshelf and mostly make it. Easily pulling myself up, I leap towards the upper part of the door and manage to snap my wings out in just the right moment to carry me over the rest, and I hit the floor running. Wait, what the? One of them starts to shout, but I'm going so fast that I'm clearing a corner at this point. The echoes of my falls is enough for me to know where the walls generally are, so I don't smash into any. Magic wraps around me, and I use much of my own to shatter the hold it has on me, while trying to ignore the nightmare headache. Wait, what's Pan? Someone else shouts, but I've cleared another corner and the voice is garbled in my mad sprint. It takes me a moment to realize that someone else was Luna, but I'm committed to getting the hell out of danger. So I'll explain myself when I'm safe, thank you very much. I hear the wind howling and I charge out an open door, ignoring the exclamation of shock from whoever it is I was just slid under, and I'm outside. It's very cold and the wind is blowing hard, but I keep moving. I keep running, and for a moment I feel something laughing sinisterly. It feels like a living spirit, but it's very powerful. Okay, going the other direction then. Suddenly I run out of a pressed path and slam into a snowbank. I stick my head up and keep trying to move through the biting cold. I make some progress before I sense something else coming at me. 2 somethings. From the direction of the massively powerful spirit, there's a huge source of magic. That's bad. From the front, there's a much weaker spirit that I can tell even without eyes is a Wendigo. Not too bad. I make my choice and charge the Wendigo. Someone shouts something, but I block it out as I twist and slam the spirit, taking care to avoid the mouth. It tries to coil around me with the wispy parts of its body, but a slight amount of magic makes my body heat invasive and harmful to the beast. I managed to get a couple of good punches in, both of them disrupting its spirit form. The massive source of magic is still coming, so I send massive disruptions into this half-elemental ghost and throw it into the path of the spell. The spell avoids it. It's homing in on me. I try to get some more distance, but it's too late. I'm surrounded by magic, and there's a huge surge of it before I'm back inside? What? Well, that was a merry chase, Luna notes in a dry tone as I pant from both the excitement and exhaustion. What made you think any of that was a good idea? She asks as she holds me with one leg, probably making sure I can't use magic to bust out again, but I still struggle. It's helpless, but I struggle nonetheless. One had an axe! When they don't answer, it means they're getting it ready! I half shout, justifying my actions, and there is a silence. No. The awkward silence meant that they had no idea how to respond to that. She tells me, and I pause. That might make sense. Oh. Oops. Give me a break. What else can I say? Still, there have been so many times where I ended up in a huge fight that started exactly like that, I say, trying to justify my actions. Well, you certainly know how to make a run for it, she remarked in a clearly annoyed tone. I should be kissing up so that the physical goddess doesn't get angry, but no, I have my dignity. What's left of it, at least. It was either fight a difficult battle while crippled or run, I explained quickly, and she pauses for a moment, and I feel her muscles move in a way that I think means a nod. It's a little difficult to walk with one leg holding you up. If I put you on my back, will you run again? She asks me, and I sigh. No, I just panicked, I say. It's harder to keep myself calm without that stasis spell, I tell her, and I feel her head dip a little. So she nodded. Why did you have it up in the first place? Luna asks, and I groan a little. It works as a sort of shield. A stasis spell in my mind prevents foreign magical chemicals from affecting it. I used to have it on all the time, but now that I'm honestly thinking about it, it had been weakened, I explain, scrunching my eyes a little. Due to all the changes of my body chemistry, all it was doing is stopping the physical changes from affecting my head. The resistance to outside chemicals and magics was gone. And your panic attacks? Luna asked me. She sounds much more gentle now. Have you ever had opium or alcohol? I ask her, and she stops entirely. It never happened, she says simply in a stiff tone. Ah, there's a story there. Alright then. Anyways, changing your body in any major way, like age, gender, or race, can and will have similar effects. Two of these things suddenly crashing into someone is more than enough to completely throw anyone off balance, I tell her in a matter-of-fact tone. She hums for a moment and seems to be considering it. Yes, that makes sense, Luna admits. I have some experience with great personal change. She tells me, and I nod. There's silence for a few moments as we keep moving on. I guess we're either going back to my room or the medical wing. I hope it's the medical wing, because if not, then I seriously underestimate just how fast I am if I got this far away from my room. So you found him. Thank goodness, someone exclaims, and my eyebrow goes up. You scared us near witless. Why did you run? Someone else asks, and I scratch the back of my head. This is awkward and odd. I'm not used to people caring so much, and it will take a long time to get used to it. Shortly before finding his way to Cantor Borealis was horrifically attacked. The most recent had him cornered in a small cave by a group of 4 individuals, and I said my empty eyes open for him before I closed them again. Borealis? I ask, confused. I don't even know what that word means, and she wants to use it as my name. The second part of the Aurora Borealis, the Northern Lights. I've been thinking about it, and your name is now Thanatos Borealis, she tells me, and my jaw drops. That's the most stupid thing I've ever heard, I tell her, all tact. I think it's clever myself. The first part of your life was a thing of fear, death, and cruelty. So Thanatos. The second art, which has begun, is a mystery, and that is to be guided by the night. So Borealis, she tells me, and it's clear. Whatever she's been reading, whatever story she likes, are the things of nightmares. Or she has had opium in the last 20 minutes. Princess? One of the doctors says hesitatingly. Yes, sound practice? What is it? Luna asks. In my humble opinion, the name Thanatos Borealis is a little much, sound practice says, and I find that I like him already. I think it's a wonderful name. Such a mysterious and elegant title, a female doctor says with a sigh in her voice. That sigh was far from innocent. Ugh. You also think that saddle rippers are high art, and have a collection of over 500 of them. Sound practice says wryly, and I'm confused again. What's a saddle ripper? I ask, dreading the question. Badly written romancers that appeals to mares who pine for an impossibly perfect lover, sound practice says before anyone else can say a thing. Alright, listen, Mom. Just because I could pull the whole mysterious lover act for a night a few years ago does not mean I'll put up with a name like that. I tell Luna seriously, drenching over the word Mom with as much biting sarcasm as I can. Granted, I'm really stretching the definition of a few, but the point stands. That's the first time you called me Mom, Luna says, sounding silently overjoyed, if that makes any sense. One of the doctors, another male, this one unfamiliar, coughs to get our attention. If we could get to what we came for, I'd like to get our nameless prince started on his healing, he says. What is this going to take? Are we going to put the eyes of something else in my head and transform them permanently or something? I ask, and there's a slight huff. That's old practice there. No, we're going to be placing enchanted patches over each eye after filling them with a special cream. The patch will cause your body to use the cream as material to make new eyes. Unlike the snake eyes method you mentioned, this has never failed. Also, over the top patches, you're going to start wearing a slight headband, so you see during the few days it takes you to for you to grow your new eyes. He tells me, and I'm gaping at this point. Something wrong? He asks, and I shake my head. Overwhelmed? He tries, and I nod. Let's do this quickly before he loses his nerve again, Luna says, and I put it off her back and lower to the floor. I sit down apprehensively, and she puts a hoof on my shoulder. I feel magic wrap around my head, and I open my empty eyes. Hurry up, I feel like I'm about to panic, I say, just in time for a cold blob of gunk to soar into each hole and fill them both up. I try to close my eyes on reflex, but they're held open by magic. As a little more gunk flows in to each, a spell is then cast on the stuff, and it feels more solid. The magic on my eyelids fades away, and I close them quickly, just in time for a patch to seal itself onto each eye, and I can feel a gently hum of magic from each. Is that it? I ask as the magic holding me still fades. Yes, it is. Although we do have a slight headband here for you as well, Sound Prince says, and a circle of soft cloth slipped round my head. It closed softly to hold itself in place somehow, and there was a tingle of magic before the world around me was suddenly visible. Ah! Whoa! It certainly works fast, I remark, turning my head around quickly to get a look at everything around me. Sound practice is light green with deep red hair in a cut resembling a bowl. His marking is a flat piece of wood with a metal clasp on top. There's a piece of parchment with scribbles on the wood with a large green check mark on it. I look up, and it really drives home just how huge Luna is. I'd blink if my eyes weren't sealed shut. Feeling better? Luna asks as my jaw drops a little. More realizing how out of my depth I am, I try to say calmly as the fact that I can make out constellations in the main starts to hit home. I take a look around and see the doctors. They're all smiling at me. Most have very pale coats with dark hair to contrast. I'm interrupted from examining them in closer detail when a guard rushes up from the opposite direction. Princess Luna, there's trouble in the castle. When we uncovered Prince Justicar's the murdered pony, we realized that the changeling was still impersonating him. We tried to lure the beast into an ambush, but it caught on and got away. The guard explained, and Luna looked shocked, then furious. Anything else? What wing was it last seen in? She asked seriously, and the guard swallowed. He must have gotten in a fight or something, or he's in pain. Eastern wing, nearby the Pegasi barracks. I would not be surprised if the wretched monsters impersonated the guard and is in fact aiding the search effort to find it. The guard says, and I think for a moment before grinning. How heavy is your armor? I ask, and he blinks. Look for the guard who's not comfortable in his armor. If the changeling was impersonating a noble for any length of time, then the armor would feel like wearing an anvil, I tell him, and his eyes widen. There we go, a bit of surprise and a twinge of fear. That pain is from the armor. Right, that's perfect, he says, and he's about to take off, but I tell him to wait. What is it? I can do even better. I can sense pain and discomfort as a very minor pain. So if you can have me walk in front of all the guards, I can pick out which one is in the most pain from the armor. I quickly explain, and Luna looks pensive for a moment. The guard's eyes widen for one, and I feel an increase in his fear. I'd rather you didn't, Luna begins, before I rush up to the guard and slam him in the face, sending as many disruptions into him as I can. What are you doing? She shouts just before the guard's form wavers and shifts into a black insect pony with flying wings and a jagged horn and holes in his body near the hoofs. The fangs and slit eyes are a little intimidating, though. He glares at me eye to eye, and we're probably butting heads as he snarls at me. You're one ugly bug, I say seriously, a predatory smile crossing my face as I get ready to slam death energies into this creep. Time for a fight. Then the changeling is slammed into war after being covered by a dark blue magic aura for a brief second. I'd blink if I could. Hey! I wanted to fight him! I protest, looking up at Luna. Absolutely not! Why didn't you tell me you suspected him? Luna demanded, and I shrugged. I didn't really have time to, I say, watching the changeling struggle against Luna's magic, and fail miserably. Besides, I've run into shapeshifters in the past. We need to shock them to get any kind of advantage, I remark, rolling my shoulders a little. Whereas I really hate them. I'll walk up to the changeling and glare at it point blank. What do you want, food? It demands in an echoing, gender-neutral voice. And I ignore it, focusing on the feeling of its soul. It's odd. Like a fully grown shard rather than an actual soul. Still, this is unique enough that it will be easy to find again. Just figuring out how easily to uncover and attack your kind, I tell as I take a feel of its aura, tainted and incomplete, like having an enormous bug with far too many legs crawling on my skin. And done. How is easy enough? I remark, and its eyes grow wide. Just before Luna's magic grabs me and drags me back. Yes? I ask, looking up at her casually. No going near the soulless monster, she tells me sternly. Actually, it's only mostly soulless. There's a shard in there, kind of like infusing gems, I remark, and Luna looks down at me in shock. I used a splinter, a piece so small that it's grown back in less than a minute. The thing is a shard. Take out a piece that huge and it's like stitching a knife in your soul, I explain, and there is a silence as everyone, changeling included, are staring at me. The silence is profound for a few moments. Oh, grow up already! I tell them, disappointed that a physical goddess, 5 healers, and a being brought to life through soul splitting are all staring at me in discomfort. Have none of you ever heard of soul splitting? I ask, and the silence persists.
Oh, come on! You were made with it!
I protest, pointing towards the changeling. Soul magics are a relative unknown, Luna tells me, and I sigh.
You know what made this one?
The changeling asks, and Luna puts a wing up between me and it. I poke my head out regardless.
I know it makes you live and think, but I don't know how your body was built. Now, if Mom here would let me at both you and the lab, I could figure that out pretty quickly. Granted, you die horribly,
I tell the creature, and it stares at me with a mild look of terror. That's probably as much as it can feel about anything. It's clearly more a living golem than anything else.
Right,
Luna says, and I can finally hear some other guards coming, and I glance down the hall and see not only 2 Necron guards, but another in bright purple armor.
Bright purple armor? What the hell?
I ask, mostly to myself. Oh, hush, you've met shining armor, Luna tells me.
That's shining armor? What? Why purple?
Princess, you caught him in record time, ma'am, Shining Armor says, saluting smartly. He's only bigger than most, although Dr. Payne is nearly twice Armor's size. It was a joint effort. My Foal here was the one to unmask the beast. After that, it was easy to pin it down. Luna admits after pulling me in a little closer. Now, let's get you away from the monster. I don't want it to just ruin your day, she says, and my jaw drops.
But I just woken up with more horrifying things cuddled up to me. I scare more horrifying things.
I tell her, flabbergasted. This thing is barely a threat and she's horrified for me? That's not going to happen, Luna tells me clearly, and I'm lifted onto her back again. The view is nice. I can see everyone's gobsmacked expressions.
The waking up with monsters in my bed, or am I scaring the living daylights out of them?
I ask simply as she turns to give me a stern look. I just smile. This is actually fun. After a moment, her expression softens. I don't know why, but it just does. We still need to find a name for you, and it's clear you're a little picky, she says, sounding a little wounded.
Rejecting Thanatos Borealis is not being picky, it's being sensible,
I tell her, and I see shining out of my mouth the words, Thanatos Borealis? And you have a better idea? Luna asks me, and I shake my head. Oh? Why not?
I don't really want one. My last name got me hurt,
I remark wryly, remembering the feeling of naming magic ripping me apart. Are you ever going to stop being paranoid? Shining Armor asks, and I shrug.
Probably not,
I say with a grin.
Still, you're only paranoid if you're wrong.
And in what way has this paranoia been justified? Luna asks me, and I point to the changeling that's been fully restrained by the guards. Right. You need to let it go, though. Such things are rare.
Not around me, they're not,
I tell her, and she sighs.
If you say so.
Still, Captain Shining Armor, where's Princess Cadence? Luna asks, and Armor raises an eyebrow. She's probably with Lady Celestia. The changeling panic has stirred up the nobles again, he says, and Luna nods. By the way, how did you sense it? He asks, and I scratch the side of my head.
I can sense pain and souls if I focus. It wasn't as comfortable in the armor it was wearing as a guard should be, and when I mentioned this, it felt fear, which in some ways is a pain of the soul, I explain, and he's staring at me with a curious look.
Can I help you? Can these things be taught? He asks, sounding fascinated.
It can and it can't,
I say, and once again I have everyone's attention.
Think of it like this. It's not magic so much as a proto-magic. You need certain experiences to develop them,
I explain, and there's further silence.
Can we talk about this away from the manufactured creature which most likely has a telepathic connection to the rest of its kind?
I ask, and all eyes turn to the changeling who had been listening intently. Right. Take that scum away. Shining Armor orders, and the changeling is dragged off.
So where are you bringing me now?
I ask Luna, and she smiles at me.
Well, we can't just keep calling you Foal, now can we?
Luna asks gently.
So I'm going to have Cadence, who's more in tune with the times, to lend me a hoof.
She tells me, and an eyebrow goes up. I have a bad feeling about this.